had that.
He openly campaigned on kickbacks and patronage.
Quebec was not a very pristine place politically.
Maurice Duplessis.
This is a great day for the people of the province of British Columbia. Am I just a tyrant and a Tory dictator? We stand or fall together.
Welcome, I'm Holly Doan. They called him the boss. Quebec Premier-Maurice Duplessis gained power on the promise of good pensions and new roads. He kept power by running what his critics rated as one of the most ruthless political machines in the country. When he died, thousands mourned him as a friend. We present Maurice Duplessis of Quebec.
In 1948, Quebec Premier Maurice Duplessis opened a new bridge in Trois-Rivières. They called it the Duplessis Bridge. He said, "It's as solid as my government, the Union Nationale."
It is certainly a most memorable occasion that we are participating in today. A completely new bridge.
We had the Quebec bridges that kept falling down because they were built with what we called political cement. That is the cheapest ingredients you could put into a bridge went into a bridge, and the contract went to a friend of Duplessis, and eventually the bridge might collapse.
The bridge did collapse in 1951. All traffic on Quebec's busiest highway came to a standstill. Once the wreckage was cleared, Duplessis would rebuild the bridge, as before, by private contract at public expense. Asked if a contract had to be a Union Nationale supporter, he replied, "It won't do any harm."
There's something to be said for being a kind of likable rogue, you know, to a degree that's what he was.
I thank you. I don't say adieu. I say au revoir. And let the next election celebrate the bridge by a big majority, a bigger majority than ever, for the will of the country and the will of the province. Mesdames et messieurs.
Politics. It was politics all over. He was a political beast, you know what I mean?
Duplessis spent more on roads and hospitals than any premier Quebec had seen. He became premier for life.
There were years of unexampled prosperity in the history of Quebec, and he hit every button with the Québécois. You know, he gave them sort of symbolic nationalism like the flag.
If each of us are staying their own domain, not trespassing over one another, the country would be more prosperous and would have real national unity. Sound unity, the one we desire.
When campaigning, he liked to wear an old hat. "It's the first thing people notice," he told a reporter. "A good old hat lets you get close to the people." Duplessis told supporters, "I'm as poor as any of you." But he liked Cadillacs and bought a new one every year. He was a tireless campaigner. Duplessis said, "You don't win elections with prayers." Instead, he relied on patronage and kickbacks. His angriest critics noted Duplessis was born the same day as Adolf Hitler.
He was a one-man show. He was in total control. And politics was his vocation.
Unique among premiers, Duplessis increased his popular vote the longer he remained in office. His victories came amid protests of fraud.
Duplessis was able to hire some very tough muscle men who invaded Liberal committee rooms, beat people up. Others would break into polling stations and stuff ballots into the voting boxes or steal the voting boxes. It was a rough and tumble game.
At Union Nationale rallies, Duplessis swept crowds off their feet. A journalist said he was part medieval lord and part Tammany Hall.
We went wild. Come on, Maurice. Aid nous, Maurice. Give hell to them, Maurice. It was something. And they were triumphs.
Ils ne l'ont jamais été parce qu'ils n'ont pas voulu vendre la province. Godbout l'a été parce qu'il a vendu la province.
It was said Duplessis kept secret files on every member of the assembly. With good government, he said, there is no need of any opposition. Yet the Premier was such a devout Catholic, he ordered that paper mills must close on Sunday.
They kept us in the dark, you know, with all the religion, Catholic religion, and all those schemes he had with the church, and he kept us too long in the dark.
Archbishop Léger then greeted the Premier of the province of Quebec, Maurice Duplessis, and other distinguished guests, who took their rightful places throughout the entire ceremonies, demonstrating the affinity of church and state in the province of Quebec.
He was a man who loved his people, but on the other side, he kept them in the dark too long.
Quebec had been a postcard of country life. It seemed unchanged over centuries. One visitor called it picturesque and barely literate. Old Quebec had more churches than libraries. The horizon seemed to go no further than the land and its people.
At the junction of the St. Maurice and the St. Lawrence rivers lies Trois-Rivières, the second oldest city in Canada, which was founded in 1634.
His birthplace prided itself as one of the most French-speaking, church-going towns in the country. Maurice Duplessis was a serious boy, a judge's son. He liked baseball, but preferred to manage the team. He studied law and aspired to politics. As a student, Duplessis told friends, "Someday I'll run this province."
Duplessis was a lifelong bachelor. When asked why, he always used to say, "I am married to Quebec. It takes all my time and affection."
The French-Canadian habitant is a pious person. The celebration of the Mass and other church festivals are very important events to him.
Duplessis, the young politician, remained a devout Catholic. He attended Mass twice or 3 times a week.
It had been quite a priest-ridden place, there's no doubt about that. But Duplessis also was the first premier who really had more influence than the church leaders.
In 1927, Duplessis was elected to the Quebec Assembly. He was a conservative in a legislature dominated by liberals. In opposition, Duplessis introduced himself. "The future Premier of Quebec stands before you," he said.
It's kind of an addiction. It gets in your blood, and I guess he just had that. I don't know how you'd say he wanted to be the Premier, and he set his sights and went forward, but then it wasn't easy.
Duplessis campaigned as a reformer, creating his own party in 1935. The Union Nationale was a merger of conservatives and disaffected liberals. An opponent said, "Beware of Duplessis. That's where the danger lies."
My father hated him. My father was a liberal and couldn't stand Duplessis because to him he was a crook.
In 1935,